Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it is May 28th of 2020, and it's 5 p.m. I think I mentioned in the last video that my uh, wired internet connection stopped working, and we had a power outage, or no, we had uh, the internet went out for a few hours. And at the same time, or just before that, I gave a 4K monitor to my son, and I hooked up this other LG monitor. Let's see, and it's the model number was a 29UM68-U LG monitor. Uh, and at 2560 by 1080 resolution, so it's a wide one. So my wired internet uh, wasn't working, and I thought that maybe changing the monitor had something to do with the IRQ or the device, whatever. But that's not the case. Um, I I got in today for my son because uh, we have we have three now, but we have two of these devices, Google Wi-Fi router. So there's one of these uh, in the living room right next to the cable modem from Spectrum. And from there, the network cable goes in here. And of course, there's power going in here. And there isn't anything else. We're not using this other connector. And then there is, sitting here on my desk, one of these. And with it, I'm coming out of it with a network cable that goes right into my PC. Now that works. It wasn't working. So I guess the network, I don't know why the network cable would go bad. You know, it was a heavy duty one. But anyway, I replaced it. And so that's working. Let me show you the speed here that we're getting now with that connection, which is, much better than the Wi-Fi connection. The wireless speed. So there you go. So we pay for 400 megs down, and 20 up. That's more than I really need, but it helps out with making YouTube videos and what have you. So I guess it was just a bad cable that went bad all of a sudden. I could see if I was using cheap, I have a bunch of cables. I have every kind of cable you're gonna. So now this that came today is identical to both of these. This is going to go into my son's room, and it will have Wi-Fi coming into it, but then we're going to come out of it, or he's going to come out of it with a network cable and go into, I guess his Saturday he gets a Xbox. So now I bought let me show you though. This is $100 for one of these, so now we have three of them. But they have a $150. That's this one here, second generation, and it gives 2,200 square feet of range versus 1,500 square feet. But this is working fine for us, and so I'm saving $50. Maybe I should have gone with the $150 one and put that in. But anyway, this is satisfactory. So here is the power supply that comes for these things. So this is going to go into, if I don't break it, it's going to go into my son's room. Okay. Oh. Now I've got this coming, I think Saturday. This is coming for me. And it will go someplace right here. And I think you're going to see much better, I hope. These videos will be a little bit better because I'll just easily be able to hit a key and pop up a video or change various things. We'll see how it goes. Should be much better. This came today. I ordered this in for my son, power strip. He's got it. He's using it now. And I told you about that. So, I just don't understand why people are not using this community thing here. I do post things I think that are of interest here, but I don't think anybody ever comes. And it's not just for my site. Some people, other YouTubers also use their thing, and I don't think anybody's going there. It's just a way that YouTube is designed or set up. Not a lot of people even come to the home page, the start page, the what do you call it? You log on. I log on too, and you go to YouTube and it tells you, oh, so and so has a new video or something. So I don't care for Facebook. It does look nice. I mean, they keep making little improvements, and I could very happily never go to Facebook, but my family is on it, and that's the way I can keep up with what's going on, because they don't email me every time they do something or send pictures or whatever. They post to Facebook, and there's people that I worked with for years, and they post information about themselves, their families, and we can keep in touch that way. People that and that's much better than the way it used to be. I guess we had to. Well, I didn't write. I guess people had to write letters in the old days. Do I need to explain what letters are and what postage stamps are? I don't know. I do sometime want to come over here and update this intro thing. I've listed a little bit, but not, you know, uh, not all the jobs that I had. Of course, I'm not going to list all of them. I worked one place one day. I went on a welding job. The company built tanker trucks that hauled, I think, milk, stuff like that. These gigantic. I don't think those will be the same size, but I don't think they hauled. They made for gasoline or chemicals. I think it was mainly milk and stuff like that, dairy products or something, liquid dairy products or something. But I went in and the conditions, he had to crawl inside uh, the tank and weld inside there, and there were fumes and all types of stuff. And I told the company, you need to get air in here or whatever. And they said, oh, the other guys, there's no problem. And I said, well, when I come back tomorrow, if there's no air supply in there, then I'm quitting. They said, okay. And I came back the next day. They hadn't done anything, so I quit. So of course I'm not going to list that kind of a job. Um, uh, I'm one of the founders of the People to People organization. I think I'll list that. Uh, I When I got married at age 26, my well, the she had just started. Our first date was she was setting up a fish shop, tropical fish shop, and she tried to get out of. She was 18, and she tried to get out of. She didn't want to go out with me. She didn't know me, uh, but so her excuse was, well, she had to fill the fish tanks. So I said, well, let me come over and meet you there at the shop. And I went over. I filled the fish tanks, and we went out on a date. So, of course, I was working as a welder, and after I think less than a year or whatever, uh, she wanted me to quit the welding job and run the fish shop, and I didn't really want to. But then she said, well, we've got a baby, and you know, she wanted me at home with her, not the baby, but. And so I said, well, can we just wait because we're going to go on strike for more pay? She said, oh no, you got to do it now because her mother was helping her, and her mother supposedly didn't want to help her anymore. So I quit the welding job and 4 years of tropical fish shop. So I think I want to list that. Uh, what else? Worked for the post office. That was a short period of time, but I'd like to list it. Uh, that was before I got married. Um, anyway, I want to update that because it's not. Because I'm not sure. Over my life, when some stuff would come up, and people would say, "Wow, you've had a bunch of different jobs," and I had I had a patrol service for about a year, and private patrol service, and uh, we just didn't make enough money. We could have, but not have given. I made it a small area that I patrolled, and I signed up a ton of businesses in that small area. But now the other patrol services, well, I worked for them for a while. Watchman Service. They were located in Overland Park, Kansas, and there for a while they had me patrolling Overland Park, Kansas. A major city, and I was the only, that I was it for Overland Park, and that Overland Park has a lot of, especially along Metcalf, I think it was. Every kind of car dealer you could, and they had signed up every one of those car dealers except for one. And anyway, I didn't, I didn't do that. I mean, I could have done the same thing, but I took a small area and did. I did a really good job. The area was so small that at night I could have my window rolled down, be sitting there in an area, and I could hear for blocks and blocks if somebody were to break a window, or if there was somebody yelling or screaming or something like that. But so I'd like to list all those for there. Even let's see, I don't have that I worked the 2000 census. I'd like to list that on there. Then in 2000, when I left Kansas City, Missouri area, I worked for, okay, I don't remember which one. Because I worked for a couple different. One was United States Security, and a guard company, contract guard company. And then at another time in Texas, I worked for, I think, U.S. Security, a security. They had the contract for FAA control towers. That was after 9/11. Anyway, I would like to update that. I don't know why. What do I have here for about? Work and education, places you've lived, family and relationships. Okay. Friends, 141 friends. I don't think I have 141 friends. Well, here's my daughter, my oldest daughter. Here's a friend, a fellow amateur radio operator. We just had a lot, in common. And here's somebody who, my daughter, I started a computer bulletin board system in Kansas City, Missouri, one of the first. Actually, when I started in Kansas City, Missouri, there was 3 computer bulletin board systems. Apple Users Group, Commodore Users Group, and Form 80 Headquarters. There was another one, wait a minute. Form 80 Headquarters. That was a guy who wrote the software for Radio Shack Model 1 computers. And he, I was kind of lucky, because he was in the Kansas City area, so it wasn't a long distance phone call or anything to call into his. And then there was a guy, man, he was really ahead of his time. He had a commodities, I guess he probably worked at the Commodities Exchange or something in Kansas City, Missouri, and he had I don't think anybody was interested in it, but he had a, his commodities bulletin board. And then I started one. Well, David here, a friend of my daughter, they were in high school, age or something like that. She started a computer bulletin board system. He started a computer bulletin board system. Let's see. Mark and Lyle, identical twins. When I went to work at Research Medical Center, Max was working there, and as a security officer, and he'd been working there for quite a few years, and I just hired in. And like my first week or so, I thought Max in civilian clothes or whatever. Then I went in the office or something, and I said, I just saw Max out there, but he's not in uniform. Is he work? No, that's Mark, his identical twin. Uh, Julie here um, went to high school with LaDonna, and they were really good friends. And Julie was a really nice girl. When LaDonna and her graduated from high school or whatever, Julie sent me a card saying, I forget exactly, thank you for being LaDonna's father and being so good and blah, 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 blah. I thought that was really sweet and really nice. Uh, Charlie here worked, I think about 29 years hospital security. I believe I worked longer, well, maybe not. Must have been about the same amount of time altogether. But he worked for one hospital 29 years and was what do they call it? Hospitals at that hospital they called their nurses that were in charge of a unit or whatever were charge nurses or whatever. So Charlie was charge, I think, supervisor. Anyway, he was supervisor. It'd be like lieutenant over all three shifts or something. This is Hillary's one of my daughters, big time into photography and into computers and everything. Frederick, or Fred as I knew him, we went to grade school together, and then from that grade school, 1955, two of us went, be Frederick and myself, we went to De La Salle Military Academy together. And I wanted to be in the in the Army. I intended to be in the Army, but the Army wouldn't take me. As soon as I graduated, I went down to enlist, and they wouldn't take me. I was way underweight. What I totally forgot about was that my hearing would have kept me out anyway. My hearing was really bad. And I just never thought about that. But right away, I was 40 pounds under the minimum weight requirement. Now, if some of you have served in the military later on, you're saying, hey, Jim's lying. Because later on, if you were overweight, they would take you and starve you, I guess, in basic training or whatever. If you were underweight, they gave you a few extra minutes to eat, but they demanded that but at the time, that I guess they didn't want Donald Trump and myself. John here is retired from a police department. Really nice guy. I worked with him and another police officer with that police department. They were trying, and they asked my help. It was really nice of them to ask my help. They were trying to do things like Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and all that type of stuff for the police department, in order to recruit minorities, especially in order to recruit minorities, females, blacks, Hispanic, or whatever, and they worked really hard trying to. And Eunice is, I dated her for a little while. This is my son, the one that lives with me. This Michael here is a guy that I worked with in security at a hospital. Same with Ron Duman, hospital, worked at a hospital with him in security. I believe that he went to De La Salle Military Academy, but I don't know what year he graduated, and I didn't know. I mean, I worked with him for a few years at Research Medical Center, and I guess if I knew what his age was, which I guess if I let's see. Anyway, so you can see uh, so there's I I hate well, computer bulletin board systems were really great. The communications, the things that went on, uh, LaDonna, David, and others, like in Kansas City, they actually held some local get-togethers and things where people got together. There was Becky was a very severely handicapped young lady, and her she used an Apple computer. Her father rigged up a thing that so she could. Anyway, Becky went to University of Missouri at Kansas City, got a 4-year degree, and she did her work by a pencil in her mouth, typing on a keyboard. I tell you that she's passed away now, but anyway, this group we arranged for Becky to get out of the house. Her dad, they had a van and everything for her, and he brought her out and unloaded the electric wheelchair or whatever, and the place was where the party or get together, it was upstairs or whatever. I don't know if I helped carry but anyway, she was, and she had a wonderful, time, and there was some other times that I think I only went, like, I'm not a party person, and but yeah, I mean those. So anyway, computer bulletin board systems. There was, and then things changed, and I'm not happy with Facebook and hackers and the way things have happened. It's just I'm an old person, So, but so I have to put up with Facebook. I don't want to offend. I don't want to offend anybody, and especially if you're religious or something like that. And a bunch of these people who are my friends are religious. Uh, you know, they'll post something, and pass this on, whatever. But then, of course, I'm sure they're not happy with me because I post political stuff. But I don't ever ask anybody ever to pass it on. There was one guy who he was into computer bulletin board systems. I didn't know him then, and he was an early person on, like I was, 2005, an early person on YouTube and on other things before YouTube, See You, See Me, and all types of things. But he was, wherever he went, it was just war. He was at war with everybody, and everybody was at war with him, and they were fighting, and I wanted absolutely no part of that. I didn't care for any kind of argument or that. And just before I went to, I'd never met him in person, by the way, but online, you know. And at some point, uh, I mentioned in my uh, bulletin board system, or no, in web page, up to a web page at that point, that I had that I could use a better, you know, I could use a better computer. And he said, "Give me your address," and he sent me a Dell, um, an old, you know, it was an old one, but it was a Dell, like a server, and that's the first time actually I had got my hands on a, you know, the cages, you know, slid out, and all types of stuff, and it worked great. It worked really well. And I mean, he sent it to me at no cost to me. He just sent it to me. Uh, but anyway, years after that, a few years ago, I went to Washington, D.C. Uh, Never been to Washington, D.C. Always wanted to go. And never been into the Northeast, actually, of the United States. And he was in Philadelphia. And when he heard I was going, he said, "You know, Philadelphia's pretty close." And he says, "You should come, you know, come over and, you know, and visit with me, see me." At that point, he had had major, you know, bypass surgery on his heart. His leg had been amputated, all types of stuff. And I really wanted to spend time in Washington. Well, I didn't go, you know. I said, "Well, I can't make it. It's, you know, I'm whatever." And anyway, come back, you know, to Kansas City after being there for 2 weeks. And at some point, like a year or two later, I I had noticed there wasn't any more war going on the internet, because wherever he went, not just him, but it was like war. People were attacking him, and he was attacking them, and there was, you know, things going on, calling each other, you know, stuff. And I noticed, well, it's kind of quiet, you know. So I looked, and then of course I found that he had passed away a year or two, you know, earlier. Bang, you know, gone. So I mentioned I mentioned that back in things I posted back in, probably maybe in the beginning on YouTube, that it'd be nice if, well, I was thinking, you know, okay, all of a sudden I disappear, you know, I die, and people would still be coming to like YouTube. Why, you know, wonder why that guy, you know, bald-headed old fat man, I wonder why he hasn't up, you know, why hasn't he added any new videos or whatever. And I was sort of advocating, I think there are some ways, you know, that and I have several friends who I think would log in, and probably even my daughter or my son-in-law or something could log in and post a thing, so you'd know that there aren't going to be any more posts or whatever. Not from Jim. Anyway, I think that's enough. I told you what's coming. No, I didn't. What else is coming? Oh, I don't remember. Tune in and you'll find out. Thank you very much for watching.